Hello and welcome to another video. If you're watching this on January 20th, it is release day for the Absolute and the Revenant. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about them to see if you should be looking at one or both of them. Starting with the Absolute, the cover is R2S Deep Hybrid and it comes at the React-A-Gloss polished surface. R2S Deep is cleaner and a bit weaker than regular R2S, which is currently in use on the High Road and High Road Pearl. Generally speaking, think Astrophysics, Rubicon UC2, RSTX2, that's the general realm that the Absolute is in with the cover, but also with the core. Strong asymmetric core, 248 RG 050 differential, and an 021 intermediate differential. That's really going to help the ball roll and rev up early and strong. I haven't had any luck with the React-A-Gloss surface, so I took it down to 1000 and then finished it with step 2. The React-A-Gloss is just too smooth and sensitive for me, so this makes the surface stronger while still being easy down the lane and sharper on the back end. My layout is 4 3/4 by 3.5 by 3.5. That puts the pin in my ring finger and kicks the mass bias or the PSA out to the side a little bit. It's a medium strong pin position, helps the ball to be more continuous without making it too strong. The PSA down here is in a pretty strong position. It helps the ball really rev up in the mid lane, while being halfway between pin up and pin down keeps it from being too aggressive without making it too long and smooth. Now let's take a look at some ball reaction. I'll pop in occasionally to offer some thoughts and comments. The Absolute reminds me somewhat of the UC2. It's a little weaker and smoother, I think, but especially with the surface adjustment, I think it's a fairly suitable replacement, or at least the closest thing we have right now. With the UC2 and RSTX2 being recently discontinued, there's no balls currently in any of the 3 SPI lines that the Absolute competes or overlaps with. The Infinite Physics, Dark Code, Reality Check, and Exotic Gem all have much stronger cover stock formulas. While the one ball that competes as far as cover strength goes is the Nova. It's a much different shape. It's definitely earlier and smoother. It, along with the Dark Code, have, however, been discontinued. Additionally, the newly announced Eternity also has a much stronger cover stock formula, so if you are interested in that one but you're concerned about buying the Absolute because you think there might be some overlap, I don't think you have to worry about that. I will have a comparison coming soon to show the differences. The Absolute is the weakest asymmetric ball in any of the 3 lines right now by a fairly wide margin. However, there are a few symmetric balls that are stronger, namely the Fate, the Autocosmos, the Zen, and the Zen Soul. However, these are also all earlier and smoother, also lacking the asymmetric torque. I'm of course leaving out the strong sanded balls like the Gem or the Phase 2 because those are obviously no competition. far as where it would fit in your bag, it's going to be on the low end of the asymmetric options for when you need length and shape. It fits really well under something like the Reality Check or Infinite Physics, but even under something like the Phase 2 or Idle Cosmos if there's too big of a gap from them to another symmetric ball. For example, if something like the Fate or Phase 5 doesn't have the torque or recovery on the back end when you need to move in, but still need something easier down the lane. Moving to the Revenant, it's obviously a remake of the Spectre. It's got R3S Pearl for the cover stock, which makes it a step up just in terms of cover from the High Road Pearl and the Wolverine Dark Moss, but it's a step down from the Fate, the Idle Cosmos, or Night Road, so it fits in its own space pretty nicely. The Vector core is on par with the core from the Wolverine Dark Moss. It's got a 254 RG and an 050 differential, so it's like a higher RG big symmetric core. It also comes at the Reactive Gloss surface, but I did the same thing that I did with the Absolute. I took it down to 1,000, then I finished it with step 2. Now to begin with, it was better out of the box than the Absolute was, but I still thought that it was still a little weak and sensitive, and so I thought that I could get more out of it by resurfacing it, and that worked. Now my layout on this one is 4x4x2. It's a very strong layout, but I like stronger pins, especially on the symmetric stuff with medium to higher RGs. They really get the ball rolling earlier and really control the mid lane well, and that's something I definitely need, is a lot of mid lane control on the left side of the lane. It really helps to increase the stability of the ball roll. With the RG already being fairly high, the stronger pin pulls that down into a range that works better for me. All right, let's head to the footage now and take a look. While the Revenant does remind me of the Spectre, it actually reminds me more of the High Road Pearl. Not quite as long, not quite as sharp, it is definitely stronger, but it's that same long-ish and round controllable shape. The Spectre was more of an original High Road shape for me. It's a smidge earlier and more of an arc shape versus the Revenant. Like I mentioned earlier, it's a small step up from the Wolverine Dark Moss because while their cores are very similar, there's more traction from the R3S cover formula than there is from the S70 that's on the Wolverine Dark Moss. And S70 is virtually R2S. This makes the Revenant about a step to a step and a half up from a High Road or a High Road Pearl, a step down from the Fate, Zen, and Idle Cosmos, but it's a step sideways from the Phase 5. It won't rev up as quickly and roll as early as the Phase 5, but there's more traction out of the cover, so it's a different spin on the Phase 5, so to speak. The stronger cover keeps it stable, while the higher RG of the core keeps it from spinning up too quickly. So the Phase 5 is rolling well, but just not quite hooking enough, while the Fate or Idle Cosmos are too strong across the board. The Revenant is the happy medium. where it would fit in your bag, it's been a nice step down from the Fate for me. The shapes are very similar, but the Fate hooks a couple boards more. Like I mentioned, it'd also be a good step down from the Zen or Zen Soul, but also a step up from the High Road Pearl, or any of the balls in the Hype line. As far as the Absolute and Revenant go together, if you're interested in both, I've carried them both to League for the last several weeks. I've used them exclusively. I literally haven't thrown another ball in any of my leagues for the last 3 weeks. They both hook about the same amount, but they do it in very different ways. The Absolute is easier down the lane, but it's definitely stronger on the back end. There's a lot more torque out of that core, while the Revenant has more traction, but is smoother and rounder on the back end. The Revenant has been the one that I've tended to start with because it has a little more traction, so it blends the lane on the fresh better. However, once the lanes open up a little bit, I can get the Revenant to work, but the Absolute just does it better. This is kind of what it's built for. Clean up front, easy down the lane, and strong on the back end without burning up or locking up. As I've continued to throw both balls, they have broken in well. They've gotten a little bit stronger, they're more stable, they're more consistent. I'm going to get some more footage here to compare them pretty soon once I feel like they're fully broken in. Check out the link in the description to go to Bowler's Mart for any of your bowling needs, or if you want to get either of these ordered, they are available now. Of course, today, January 20th, is release day. Remember to use my code Rosdahl10 for 10% off at CoolWick.com. Be sure to check out my memberships from the join button below the video for plenty of early access and extra content. Thanks to my outstanding members, thank you for watching, and may the strikes be with you.